We certainly want transparency. What he saw is what we revealed to you last night on this program, what appears to be Atlanta, Georgia ballot counters being told to leave the counting room. Then a short time later, with no observers, with no media, hidden cases of possible ballots are rolled out from under a table. 4 people, under a cloud of suspicion, begin what looks an awful lot like ballot stuffing.
And the media did pack up and leave at 11:15, but there weren't observers there at that time, and there was no announcement made for anyone to leave.
Now, wait a second here. That is disheveled Fulton County Elections Chief Richard Barron, but he doesn't have the facts right. The video proves it. At 10:40 p.m., not 11:15, 10:40, the media is packing up. A half hour before he thinks they leave. You can see them putting on their jackets there. And by 10:56, they are long gone. And the Trump team has sworn witness testimony, claiming an announcement was most certainly made. In fact, even CNN reported the counting was being shut down due to a water main break that even election administrators now acknowledge was a leaky toilet. So someone had to tell those people to leave. And if you look at this table, there are ballots in boxes open and ready for counting. Now watch as they get packed up. Why would you need to secure them and then ultimately take out the mysterious ballots from under the table to start counting? It just doesn't add up. Elections board member Dr. Kathleen Ruth shows her skepticism in that Zoom call this morning with the elections chief.
It is interesting that these ballots were under a table versus being in the open.
Well, I think there's a. I don't know that I think those ballot boxes get heavy. I don't think they want to be lifting those things up and putting them back down.
It makes no sense. The guy's scratching his head. He just looks nervous. The guy does not inspire confidence. There were already ballots out, but even almost 24 hours since I posted what could be, quote, smoking gun video of election fraud. A video now with 2.5 million views as of right now on my Twitter feed. The head of elections, whose ballot counters are now being accused of ballot stuffing, declares this.
I'll have to review. I need to review the video. I have not seen the video.
Please do. Please do is right. He hasn't watched the video that could upend the presidential election, and the guy in charge of the very people in the room admits he didn't watch the video before updating board members this morning. That's insanity. And yet, Fulton County still certified the election. But you know who did watch our video? Our viewers, Stinchfield's Army. One directed me to this moment in the video. The woman in purple, after putting ballots in to be scanned, it appears to take the same batch of ballots out, straighten them, and then look what she does with them. She reinserts them back into the ballot counting machine again. The same set of ballots. Now, there may or may not be an explanation for this, but it certainly needs to be investigated by law enforcement, as the greatest political heist in election history may have just been caught on camera.
Evidence of election fraud mounts as the mainstream media and Democrats loudly insist Joe Biden is still the 2020 winner. However, numerous whistleblowers are coming forward with credible information that hundreds of thousands of votes for President Trump mysteriously disappeared on election night. On Tuesday, Jesse Morgan, a worker for the U.S. Postal Service, revealed that his trailer full of ballots simply went missing after he dropped them off. The worker drove his truck from Bethpage, New York, all the way to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and says he was carrying some 288,000 completed mail-in ballots. Phil Klein, the director of the legal group Thomas More Society Amistad Project, says they have many more testimonies from whistleblowers with similar stories. The project is working to discover flaws and even expose cases of voting fraud in the 2020 election, and has already uncovered serious examples of voting irregularities. Back backing up President Trump's warnings. Klein explains that the post office was rife with fraud and that many Postal Service workers were taking part in widespread illegal efforts to undermine the election. While the missing truck full of ballots is bad enough, other whistleblowers say they drove thousands of pre-filled ballots right over state lines, which is a federal crime. A subcontractor for the post office, Nathan Pease, said that he was told by two separate postal workers that the post office in Wisconsin had collected and backdated over 100,000 ballots on the morning after the election. Unsurprisingly, others also claimed the integrity of Dominion voting machines has been compromised and cannot be trusted. During a press conference in Arlington, Virginia on Tuesday, the project explained that election officials in blue jurisdictions have failed to maintain the ballot chain of custody, which leaves the door wide open for voting fraud. The project said it has photographic evidence of people improperly accessing voting machines and eyewitness accounts on how the seals on ballot hard drives were illegally tampered with and broken. Klein says that in total, there are over 300,000 fraudulent ballots in Arizona, 548,000 in Michigan, 204,000 in Georgia, and 121,000 in Pennsylvania. Based on this evidence, the FBI has reportedly requested to look at the project's data on voting integrity and potential election fraud. Pearson Sharp, One America News.
So, if you just take the crime of what those Democrat workers were doing, and by the way, there was no water main break. You know, they said there was no water main break. That's 10 times more than I need to win this state. 10 times more. It's 10 times, maybe more than that, but it's 10 times more because we lost by a very close number. The alleged Biden margin of victory in several states is entirely accounted for by extraordinarily large midnight vote dumps. You saw them with going up to the sky. All extremely skewed to Biden. Like Biden would get 10,000 votes and Trump would get 3 in a Trump area. Oh. For example, at 6:31 a.m. in Michigan, reported 141,238 votes for Joe Biden and 5,900 votes for Donald Trump. 96% for Biden, 4% for Trump, in an area where I should be doing quite well. You know, I went almost every county in Michigan, almost every district. It was except one. And they actually had more people. If you look at the ballots, they had ballots all over. They had more ballots than they had people voting. How do you do that? So they had people, and they're voting. And then, as you know, 2 of the canvassers were very brave. They didn't vote, and they got the hell knocked out of them from the standpoint of what they went through. They took, all the cameras went off, and then they raised their hand, but then they couldn't sign it ultimately. But more ballots than they had voters. Now, how simple is that? A similar vote dump occurred in Wisconsin at 3:42 a.m. This is 3:42 in the morning. In fact, when I went to bed that night, everybody was calling, congratulations, you're up 600,000 votes in Pennsylvania. Across all of the key swing states, there were impossibly low rejection rates. You saw that. For mail-in ballots, drastically less than the historic norm. In Georgia, 0.5% of the mail-in ballots were rejected in 2020 compared to 5.77%. That's a difference of 11 times more. It's hundreds of thousands of votes. In Pennsylvania, 0.03% were rejected in 2020 compared to a much, much higher percentage in 2016. This issue alone is enough to change the election results in many states. Whistleblowers, and that's the smallest of the issues. Whistleblowers in multiple states have testified to witnessing postal workers and election workers illegally backdating thousands and thousands of ballots, fixing ballots, filling out false birthdays, registering ineligible voters, and much, much more. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of votes in each state. In Arizona, a sample of 100 ballots reviewed by a judge found that a very small percentage of these ballots, very small, but when you look at it, it was turned out to be very large. It was tens of thousands of votes, more than we would have needed to win Arizona. We should have won that state very easily. We have a similar type of governor, I think, but I'll let you know that in about a week. In one Michigan county, and by the way, when Laura Ingraham interviewed your governor, he said he was an offensive lineman. I said, that's strange. He doesn't look like an offensive lineman to me. In one Michigan county using Dominion voting systems, nearly 6,000 votes were discovered that were wrongly switched from Trump to Biden. They called it a glitch. You know what glitch? That's like the machine broke. Numerous times we found glitches, and every single time the glitch went 100% to Biden and no percent to Trump. The same systems are used in 30 states. The left lies, they cheat and they steal. They are ruthless, and they're hell-bent on getting power and control by any means necessary. They investigate you and they prosecute you. The moment you question them, they try and intimidate you. They call you a poor American. You're not a good American. You don't love our country. They don't love our country. They beat you down, shut you up, and make you retreat. That's what they do. That's what they've done to your governor. They've done that to your governor. Your governor should be ashamed of himself. That's what they want to do right here in Georgia. They want you to be quiet. They want you to go away, but we don't go away. We don't go away. It's the biggest open secret in America that Democrats cheat in elections. This year, by sending out 65 million mail-in ballots, they perpetrated the largest fraud in the history of our country. Democrat officials and politicians in every swing state systematically weakened every measure to combat election fraud. They ensured that there were no identity checks, no signature checks. I want to check a signature, please. I'm sorry, we don't let you do that. No eligibility checks, no nothing. Every single one of you know that if these ballots are properly audited, if the signatures and envelopes were examined, if the envelopes were correlated to the votes, because you'll find there are far more ballots than there are envelopes. All you have to do is count them up. How many ballots do you have? How many envelopes do you have? And if the voter rolls are studied, in other words, studied to check the signature, Miss Smith, oh, it's a totally different signature from 2 years ago, from 6 years ago, from 10 years ago. What's that all about? We will find that hundreds of thousands of ballots were illegally cast in your state and all over the country, by the way. More than enough to give us a total historic victory. This is our country that they are taught, and you know this and you see it, but they're trying to take it from us through rigging, fraud, deception, and deceit. That's what we saw in the election. That's what's going on, and it's happening right now in our country. And we will do something about it, and we're going to do something about it quickly. And we're going to be watching on January 5th. We're going to be watching every element of what they do, this fraud that they perpetrated in our country. We're going to be watching it more closely than any election has ever been watched. Hopefully our legislatures and the United States Supreme Court will step forward and save our country. I used to say, without borders, we don't have a country. I can say also, without an honest voting system, without an electoral process that works and that's honest and fair, we don't have a country either. We need to check every single signature in the presidential and senatorial elections. And right now, we have to get out to vote for David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler to show the radical left that we will never surrender. We will only win. We're going to win. We always win. Somehow we find a way to win. Now is not the time to retreat. Now is the time to fight harder than ever before. So don't listen to my friends. Just go out. Just go out. And you know what they're saying? They're saying, we want you to fix the system. We're going to fix the system. But the system will be fixed when these people get in. They'll get in and we'll fix the system. Because we're all victims. Everybody here, all these thousands of people here tonight, they're all victims, every one of you. The next great victory for our movement begins right here on January 5th, and then we are going to win back the White House. We're going to win it back. And we're going to take back the House in 2022. And then in 2024, and hopefully I won't have to be a candidate, we're going to win back the White House again.